Stanford Center for South Asia and Art Forum SF welcomes you to the 5th edition of the South Asian Literature and Arts Festival 2024, or SALA as it's popularly known. Thank you for coming and being a part of this festival. Before we begin, a big thank you to all our sponsors who've enabled us to bring this quality of festival to the Bay Area. Today's panel is Tapestry of Taste. The keynote speakers are chefs Suvir Saran, Keith Sarasin, Heena Patel, and Srijit Gopinathan, in conversation with Dr. Sanchita Banerjee Saxena. Dr. Saxena is a thought leader on business and human rights and on the social dimensions of corporate sustainability. She is currently a senior advisor to Article 1, a specialized strategy and management consultancy, and a professional faculty member at the University of California, Berkeley Haas School of Business. Sanchita is passionate about eclectic cuisines and enjoys experiencing new recipes from around the globe, visiting interesting and innovative restaurants, and learning from chefs during her travels. Just a few house rules before we begin our program. Please do keep your phones on silent and no video recording. I would also like to request no eating or drinking, and if you do have anything, please do make sure to carry it out with you. There will be a 15 minutes Q&A session after the discussion, and books by authors will be on sale and signing outside in the atrium. Please do also visit our art exhibition area above the BACC and vendors who are making this and supporting our cause. We would like to also remind everyone that today's Shashi Tharoor panel has been moved to the Hawk Auditorium, and it's at 6:15 p.m. With that, let's welcome our panel with a big round of applause.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all, and it's great to see such a full house. It's really my honor to be moderating this panel with our four distinguished guests. They are not only fantastic chefs, but they are authors, they are entrepreneurs, they are thought leaders, they are disruptors. And I'm really excited about this panel because I think, like most of you, if you're here, you enjoy food, you enjoy the dining experience. But as you know, for us, especially in the South Asian context, it's so much more than the food. The experience evokes community, friendship, heritage, joy, culture. It's so much beyond the food itself. And so again, I'm really, really pleased to be here with four incredible chefs who are reimagining and redefining what South Asian cuisine is and the entire experience. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we'll do today. We only have a little less than an hour and so much to talk about. So I'm going to give very brief introductions with four of our chefs. It's not doing them any justice, but you can read more about them on the websites. And then I'm going to ask a few different questions, but also the chefs are really interested in talking to each other. So they'll get to ask each other, and we'll hear a little bit more personal anecdotes from each of them. So to my right is Chef Keith Sarasin. He's a renowned chef, culinary expert, and cookbook author who has dedicated over a decade to studying the art of Indian cuisine, and he has a deep passion for the food and culture of the Indian subcontinent. Welcome, Keith. Then we have Chef Heena Patel. She is the chef and co-owner of Besharam, a regional Gujarati restaurant in San Francisco, where she showcases her bold interpretation of the flavors and dishes that were prevalent throughout her childhood in India, playfully reimagined within a California context. Welcome, Chef Heena. Then we have Chef Srijit Gopinathan. He's the co-owner of Copra in San Francisco and Ettan in Palo Alto. He headed Taj Campton Places for over 10 years and was the first Indian chef to receive 2 Michelin stars for Indian food termed as Cal Indian Cuisine. Welcome. And then I had a one-line bio for Suvir, but he asked me to read something else. So I will read that, and this I have to attribute it to Dr. Shashi Tharoor, who we'll hear from later tonight. Dr. Shashi Tharoor writes, Suvir Saran is a master chef, master raconteur, master columnist, and a master of the human heart. Listen to him and you will know why. Welcome, Suvir. So just to get us started, I wanted to ask all of you, who or what influenced you? What really kind of guided your career? Was there a particular incident? Was there a particular person? Were you always interested in food? Did you know this is what you wanted to do? And maybe start with you, Keith.
Well, it is a huge honor to be here, so thank you, everyone. My journey clearly doesn't look like the rest of this, right? I always I said to Kira, and I'm like, I'm a gora pakora, but I'm also a gora who also makes pakora. So it got started for me over 16 years ago. I was a very picky eater. Loved the culinary world, but just, I was always intimidated with Desi cuisine. So I was like, oh, it's spicy, it's this, it's all the stuff that we kind of think. And then one day, a friend of mine, his family owned a little kind of curry house in Nashua, New Hampshire. And he said, hey, I know you love video games, and you're never gonna try this food. So if I beat you at this next game, you gotta try. And I say it's the best bet I ever lost. The next day, we went to this little spot, and I always say my first bite of Indian food was a lot like, have you ever seen The Matrix? When Neo is like, all of a sudden takes the pill and he goes, whoa. Desi food, I think, represents its culture better than any other cuisine. It's fiery, it's passionate, it's ever evolving and changing. And that one bite changed the course of my life. I went on to open restaurants that weren't Desi, won awards, did all this wonderful stuff, but always had this pulling of being back there. And it wasn't until I met my first mentor, Indira Shilat, that it changed my life. I approached her and said, please teach me. After a very long story, I'm gonna try to summarize. After 6 months of badgering her every day, she would say, no, no. So finally I got in her kitchen, and it began a 6-year relationship where I started learning Hindi, trying to show a great deal of respect and love for a cuisine that would never be mine. We started catering together, and it led me to just unbelievable places, tours across the world, and now on this panel with these incredibly people who are so much cooler than me. So thank you, guys.
Oh, that's great, and we're so glad you lost that video game as well. Chef Heena, how about you?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Hello, everyone. Keith, when you said that you are in a coolest room, it just says how cool you are.
Bish, bish.
Well, growing up, I never enjoyed cooking. It was being forced by mom. I had to do the roti for the dinner. It was forced, so I never enjoyed it. I learned the basics so I can find a better husband. That was my mom's goal. So I knew how to do dal bhat shak, rotli. I knew the puri, how to make them puff. The basic knowledge I had because my mom wanted me to learn that. But my interest came for cooking. I never went to school. I done the bachelor in child development in Mumbai. So I never had that intention of cooking. But when I came here in 1992, I never see this many Indian faces. Hardly anybody I saw. And saying that, it was very hard to find the food I grew up with. And especially with 2 young children, I felt like, oh my God, how they know what I grew up with. And we all have amazing memories cooking with our moms, with the occasion, so many parties like big or small, weddings, birthday parties. We cook, and especially Gujarati. Our next thought, what are we gonna eat next? And 90% of the energy goes around cooking. And not one type of bread, we make 5 types of thepla, rotla, bhakri. And so that kind of thinking, and I miss that so much. Going to the party here, it's disaster. They only give us chips and salsa. It's like, did you ever go to the party in India? We lay out. And that's how I started cooking for my children's, the school parties. And I showcase what I am and who I am and with the food. And I didn't know the language. I didn't know how to speak English. I only spoke Gujarati. So I didn't have any friends, but also didn't know how to make connection. And that gave me such a power to connect through food. And I didn't have to speak. I just made friends and they crave and they came back and they asked me questions. And that was my into the place I call home. I landed here in 92. I never left. So this is all I know. San Francisco is my home. My mom and dad expected very less from me, but I myself wanted more for me. So what I'm doing right now is all I give credit to myself.
That's amazing, Heena. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I also want to say, I think Bengalis do that too. I'm a Bengali. They're always talking about food, so I can relate. Chef Srijit, how about you?
Hi, good evening. Is it good evening? Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, it'll just keep talking at it.
Okay, good evening. So my story, inspiration, only one thing. I enjoyed eating food. I enjoy eating good food. I thought I recognized good food early in my, I mean, when you're kids, you typically don't recognize whatever your mom gives you, that's good, right? For me, I was not that. I was a little picky from that day one. I used to recognize good food, or I don't know, I thought it was good food. Right? So I recognized it early in my life. So I always went looking out for aunt's place or cousin's place or grandma's place where I could get good food. My vacations, you don't have to take me to zoo, or the olden days they take you to museum, zoo and all. No, take me to a place who cooks good food, who makes ice cream at home. Those ice creams are a big deal those days. You can't just buy it. So one of my aunts used to make ice cream. So every vacation I get, take me to that aunt's place because she makes ice cream. so that type of thing, that's how it developed. My passion for cooking came from out of that. My story is different that way because every time I show interest in cooking, my mom pulls me out of that. It's almost like a third law of gravity. The moment I put more, she actually pushes me off. No cooking. You're going to go become doctor, engineer, lawyer, whatever it is. Don't do that because I said I want to be a chef. So she kept pushing me off. So eventually I succeeded and she did not. Then I ended up going to Bangalore where my dad used to work. I did my hotel management there, specialized in cooking. I became a chef, worked for hotels and moved on. Here I am today.
Oh, we're so glad you
Keep it sharp.
so glad you love food so much. And Chef is here.
So, when I was a young kid, I remember a paheli being said at our table. Nanhi si kamini ne kulfi lagai sar par. मोती जड़ाए जेवर और उस पे सुर्ख चादर गुजरा है बचपना गो धानी लिबास छोड़ा पर अब भी काट खाना उसने किया ना छोड़ा तो does anybody know what this is किस चीज की बात करें एक अमेरिकन इंग्रेडिएंट है it's talking about a young girl who wears a topi she's wearing a kulfi like topi which she's put red chadar around with pearls in the middle when she was younger she wore green. But through the growth of this creature, she's always remained very sharp and very mirchi wali, to mirchi. So this Dadi would do these pahelis with us to teach us the stories of each ingredient. We grew up in a home with Lucknow and Punjab being the two parts of the family. And what you said, we would, at 11 at night, my mother would say, breakfast kya khaoge? At breakfast, lunch pe kya leke jaoge? Lunch pe what are you eating for snack? Late snack, dinner, and then post-dinner. So this is India's kahani. So but I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I wanted to be a parliamentarian. I've done none of those. So I did do a master's in Hindustani classical music, but I started cooking at age 5 with my mother making il flotant. What Indian would know in those years? But my mother and my aunt sitting here had been sent to Mrs. Balbir Singh, who was a teacher that trained Indian women to become better wives to their husbands. So through that, my mother had gotten this French training. So I had that in my blood, but I came to America in 1993, 1 year after you. And I realized that all the books that were selling passing of Indian food, the photographs looked great, but the recipes you made didn't match the photographs. The ingredients were rubbish. They were saying parsley could be Madhur Jaffrey saying parsley dal do dhania ki jagah. But who does that? We in India we don't put it. You don't put parsley for dhania. They're two different tastes. But this is what Julie Sani, Madhur Jaffrey, and all the others had done till then, and I would find it infuriating. So I would pay $700 to $800 of my hard-earned money on phone calls with mom, Panditji, Dadi, Nani to understand ghar ka khana and recreate it every day in New York City. And big famous Hollywood stars and the mayor, all of them arrived at my home. That a young Indian kid is making some of the best food in New York, not Indian food, best food. And I had a blind roommate whose parents only got me as his roommate because they said, Indian hai, he'll take good care of our child. So I had a penthouse apartment on Central Park West on 82nd Street, and I paid $700 for it. We hosted the best parties of New York in the 1990s with all sorts of people coming to enjoy my food. And the blind boy gave me a home, I cooked, and together we had amazing parties. And one day, a job that I worked in a retailer, Henry Bendel, my CEO, fired me and said, I'm giving you 2 years severance. Go become a chef, open a food business. You have no business being in any other business. I used the F word for the first time that day. I said, I've given you the most successful 2 years that you've had till now, and you're firing me. He said, Suvir, you have a calling you don't listen to. You bring us the best food every morning. You go home and cook for 100 people at night. Sleep 3 hours and start cooking again at 6 in the morning. Cook. And that's how I became a chef. But not a chef, a cook. He's a chef, I'm a cook. Because I've mirrored the housewives and cooks of India, Khansamas, that were not trained, but they cooked from the heart. It was a continuum. They were continuing traditions and journeys of people, not just India. Our cooks cooked all kinds of food because of all the cultures that came into India. So my food is that food.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Suvir. So, Heena, do you have a question for Keith that you'd like to ask?
I do. I do have a plate in my restaurant, no pakora for the gora. So my restaurant called Besharam, yours called Atma. We both want to connect with what we do.
Besharam Atma.
Besharam Atma.
Very polarizing.
So,
It's a Mahatma.
They're saying a little louder.
okay, I try to speak louder. Yes, I'm sorry, I speak very softly. I told Sanchita.
But Gujaratis are never so soft.
What happened?
My question to you, Keith, since I'm Gujarati, so much traditions and culture I grew up with, I born into that. And still, whenever I cook and whenever my guests, they give me nod. They approved of my cooking, and that comes from our culture because I cook like a mom. I look like their mom, so I get it. They even without me asking, they're giving me approval of is this taste like their mom, and that is my comparison. So how you connect with the food you never grew up with?
Keith.
That's a great question.
I love this question. So, first of all, just as a sidebar to this, you don't need anyone's approval. You're brilliant. Like, I was there last night. Her food is incredible. Anyone who says anything different doesn't know food. So I just wanted to say that as a personal anecdote. Okay, I will give it my best
Can
shot
you
here.
turn it up?
So to answer that question, I say I make really good dal, right? Depending on where I am. I was trained by a Gujarati chef in the beginning, and I make very good. I will never make dal as good as somebody's mother. But my purpose in life is not to replicate that. My purpose is to respect it. And I think that there's a lot of power in that.
Yes.
I having gone to India many times at this point, having spent so much time studying this over the past 16 years, I think one of the first things that I realized is I am never going to be an Indian chef. I'm not trying to be an Indian chef. I'm trying to bridge the gap between two cultures that very rarely have a common denominator. So a lot of times, like Indian food is the most polarizing cuisine I've ever seen. Bar none. And that's beauty and that's beast, right? So it's beauty because the flavors, the passion, the festivals, all of these things make it so alluring. But at the same point, if I'm in Gujarat and have dal, or I'm in Bengal and have dal, these are very two different things, right? Completely two different. A lot of what I do is translate that to a Western audience because that doesn't really work all the time. If we just say dal, it can mean a lot of different things, right? And so I think a lot of what I spend my time doing is studying a lot of food history. My guru is Dr. Kurush Dalal, and he's incredible. If you don't follow him, please do. Brilliant man. But to try to explain it best, I think the way to say it is, I'm not trying to find authenticity, because authenticity in food does not exist. Tradition does. And so my job is to honor tradition, give it the most respect, and try to not push the cuisine forward. I say all the time, Indian food doesn't need elevation, it needs representation.
Yes,
That's brilliant, Keith. Thank you. So I have a question for all of you. So all of you are not part of the mainstream as we would consider it, right? You are all sort of an other in some way. You're all breaking barriers. All of you you've been the first in something, right? And you're doing very bold and visionary work. But at the same time, there's always that potential for some backlash. So thinking about all this, thinking about your identity and sort of where you're kind of fitting in the larger South Asian, this larger idea of South Asian cuisine, how has your identity influenced the kind of food that you make? And what do you hope your customers and others who enjoy your food take away from it? And maybe Heena, we'll start with you.
It's a very deep question. It makes me emotional, like where I start. I never came or opened a restaurant 5 years ago. I started culinary journey 10 years ago. I don't have any Michelin star. I don't think I will ever get, but my intention is not to get recognized. My intention to share our food, our culture, our traditions, what my mom couldn't do it. But she done amazing food. I raised in a middle class. We never slept hungry, but we never went to restaurant. My mom fed us the best way, one ingredient in 3 different ways. She never wasted anything. We are Patel, we grow up, the grains and the vegetables. So the respect of the vegetable grains comes not throwing, because we know what it takes to grow. I remember my grandparents' eyes. They were worried about, is it gonna rain? Are we gonna lose anything? Is this cow gonna survive? And I saw that tension in their eyes. And that stayed with me. So I want, now coming here, we talk about saving, not wasting. It's like, I done all that. This is not new. But it's a message I want to say, this is part of us, not throwing or saving or minimizing. For me, Besharam persona comes from hiring the first immigrants in the back of the house. Nobody went to culinary school like me. And they never know the language of the kitchen. Me and them don't speak same language. A lot of sign language. And it is frustrating, time consuming. Nobody say, yes, chef, that's okay. But I want to know, I see the drive in their eyes, what I had in my eyes. And I want to give them the opportunity to raise. And it's very hard for us to get that opportunity. And especially for me being female, we have to work hard to prove ourselves. And it's like, why? Why we have to prove and hard? I want to showcase their talent and how they cooking Gujarati food, the best khandvi you ever had. And he never grew up eating it.
But
So
that's
it's
fine. He's
it's
not corrupting your recipe.
No, it's a teachable art. Cooking is a teachable art, so let's share. We are here, let's enjoy, let's make it lighter, humor, and I just want to be part of that.
Thank you, Heena. Srijit, how about you?
No, I came to this. Sorry, I'm cold. I came to this country with a big hotel chain. I had the privilege of working in a big place to begin with, even though the only problem I had then was they wouldn't let me do what I want to do. That was the problem, because that's working in a corporation. You're working for somebody else. So that was always, I'll use the word haunting me. Like for the longest time, it was a struggle for me to manage their expectation versus, it's almost like a fake life. You're basically listening to what they're telling you to do, and you have no say in doing it. So the day I came in here, I thought, I need to get out of this somebody telling me to do situation to where I want to do, I can do where I want, what I want to do, kind of thing. It took me almost 5 years. The only thing which actually helped to, came to save me was the accolades. Because until then, corporations don't recognize you, don't let you do anything. So the first step of that came when we got the first review from Chronicle and the Michelin and all those things. So going back to answering your question, you don't need to start to make good food. It's just a myth. I mean, you don't need any Michelin stars or somebody's recognition from some country who's never eaten or enjoyed Indian food to tell you your food is good. It's a whole different thing. You really don't need that. But it helps. It helps, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
It helps in many ways. It helps you generate revenue. It helps you look cool. You know what I mean? And it also makes more people say hello to you than you did before yesterday. Otherwise, nobody tells you anything. You know what I mean? So all these things comes to save you in many ways. So I know that when I came here, first 1 year, I met one person, that was M.R. Rangaswamy. I mean, nobody even knew who the hell I was. He was the only, you know what I mean? So I'll never forget him. That M.R. is not here, right? He's not here.
Is MR here?
See, everybody knows MR. so because he used to live in, he lives in San Francisco. So he walked down saying that, who's the South Indian dude who's cooking, a kind of a thing. So that's my beginning, and it took me almost 5 years to 2008 to almost 2011 or so. The accolades did come to help me in a big way. And from there, the reason why I wanted that, I worked hard for that, is because only then I could do what I want to do, kind of a situation. From there, I still did stick to the place for a few more years. I thought there was future. I thought I was getting that power to actually do what I wanted to do slowly. And then from there, I got out. I did my own company, did my own style of cooking. I developed my own little cuisine. We called it Cal Indian food at that point, and now everybody calls whatever they want to. But then I moved on. I came to do my own little home cuisine, which is Copra as well as Ettan and stuff like that. That's my little story.
Great, thank you so much. And Suvir?
I lost the question. Can you remind me? I loved both the answers. I've forgotten the question.
So just not being a part of the mainstream, or what we think, being an other, being sort of unique, being a trailblazer, how has that influenced kind of the food and what you're trying to present to
So I was a gay man in New York in 1993, catering, teaching, cooking, speaking with a lisp, with an accent, looking different. I didn't dress up like this though. I was working for some very chic retailers, looked good, but I was the other. I looked like a terrorist, I looked like a idolatrous Hindu, all the things I didn't consider good enough. Food for me was, I didn't cook for them, I cooked for me. I cooked for the recipes that we'd been proudly presented at Indian tables without any need for a Westerner to tell us whether they were good or bad. These were the Indian traditional dishes, not butter chicken, dal makhani, and all that crap, that are still the predominant dishes of Indian cooking. I was cooking the ghar ka khana, the unsung dishes that make Indian food healthy, nutritive, delicious, yummy, and noteworthy to anybody studying Indian food ways. Unfortunately, we Indians were my biggest enemies. Opening a restaurant in New York in 2003 and not having dal makhani, butter chicken, paneer makhani, tandoori chicken on a menu gave me thappads from a lot of Indians that what are you doing? But instead putting bharwa karela with a lamb chop, with a pahadi pear ki chutney and a tomato kut, and a Bangladeshi aloo bharta and a halim from Pakistan and putting it on the menu. So for me, it wasn't about food. I wanted to present an India that was pluralist, that was not just India, it was Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, all coming together at the table. And it was about showing my India. I knew that there'll be 20% that will slap me, but there will be 20% others who would come and celebrate me. We put butter chicken at $21 or something for a small katori, and the other dishes were a little more price sensitive because I was giving them something new. We got the stars that made me somewhat popular. You said the right thing. You become noteworthy to people. But I think the food for me was, Indians were the enemy, like you've said, that Indians are the most difficult customers. We look at Indian food as a cheap comfort when we go out. We don't want to eat good Indian food. We have no vocabulary for celebrating good progressive Indian food. Our food is either ghar ka khana or behuda. Behuda means terrible, dastardly. Behuda khana like butter chicken and oil, which is sending Indians to giving them heart attacks, diabetes, and every other disease that's matching America of 70 years where America became numb in their food waste. So what we are doing as Indians is the tragedy. Americans didn't do anything wrong by me. They gave me the stars, they gave me the recognition, gave me the ink, gave me a pedestal to stand on. Indians were the challenge. I had to educate them that, hello, you're eating like an idiot. Wake up. Uth jaag musafir bhor bhai. So, it was very honest conversations where 80-year-old South Indian Tamilian grandmother was touching my feet and saying, your rasam is better than my mother's. And crying. And Hemant, my partner, was a chef like him, trained with the Taj, said, "Aapka pair chhu rahi aapke rasam ke liye." So I said, "Hemant, aapko cooking school mein nahi sikhai, par meri dost Durga Raveli Sethi ne mujhe sikhaya." So I was saved by some Indians, but I was marginalized by Indians, not by anybody else. So I think India has to wake up, and the tomorrow for India's food is a progressive journey that these chefs will take us to, not the ones we think are the good chefs.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming back to you, Keith, you kind of touched on this about being the other, but if you want to say anything else about that, and then if you have a question for Srijit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm polarizing. I'm sitting here, and I think people pass judgment very quick, right? They're going to see me as a colleague or a colonizer. And my job isn't to change your perception of that. My job is to honor the people who have spent so much time with me. Dr. Kurush Dalal, Indra Shilat, Prabha. Like these wonderful people who have looked at me and said, there's something here that we believe in. Kurush said once, I was supposed to be in India at one point and all this stuff happened. And he's like, India will be here, don't worry. And when I left, I was just so downtrodden. He's like, you have bulava, you have the calling. And I think that in the beginning, it was always trying to convince everyone that I love this so much. And now I don't care. I don't do this for anyone. I do this for the people who took a chance on me, and I do this because this is really my calling.
And you have a question for Srijit, yeah?
This is so much fun for us. So I thought of about 30 questions and tried to narrow it down to one. So if you don't know the story, I've followed you for many years. Just a huge fan, huge inspiration. A lot of us on the East Coast also feel that way, from the crew at Damaka and Chintan and everyone. We all look at you and say, that's the pillar. Like, we really have a ton of love and respect. And so my question to you is, you're in a world that I can relate to, the fine dining world, right? Where this is it's a challenging world, lots of investment, lots of pressure. How do you balance a cuisine that is very polarizing, right? If you're putting out a dish that somebody's family grew up with, they're gonna say, well, this isn't like this. How do you balance tradition, because I won't use the A word, authenticity. How do you balance tradition, but also appeal to the modern palates and visualize that? How does that come out through your food?
I'll answer you before that, I'll tell you. You mentioned something about bridging Indian, you do the job of bridging Indian food. What a favor you're doing to American food. Okay, go back to the question. Thank you for doing that, because I've been here for almost 20 years now. I have an American passport, so I need to be a little bit. So, going back to the question, how do I balance it? Over the years, last almost 19 years now, one thing I really learned and mastered is not food, not cooking. The art of ignoring everything around you. So because if you start listening to people, everything they say, the most I got in this country is free advice. Oh my God. People just come there and give you advice after advice after advice after advice of not knowing anything I do. I mean, after all the advice over there, I ask you, so what do you do? Kind of that type of thing. You know what I mean? Ignore all those things, because you can do whatever you want to do, but these advices are not going to take you anywhere. Just have a plan, like you have a business plan when you start a business. Have a plan in your mind and go hit it hard. I mean, I'm not going to listen to anybody unless that person gives me money. No, I'm kidding. So unless that person is actually working with me to create that concept. If I start listening to people, then I'm failed. I tried doing it once. I don't want to say who it was. Probably that person is somewhere here. So I don't know. So I won't do that. So when I'm doing something, I take the lead. I tell them this is what it is, kind of thing. If not, then like I have partner now, we divide our. I mean, I try and pick partners who have the opposite strength, because anybody who's very good at cooking, I will never partner with. So anybody who's good at bringing in the money and then working with the other aspects of it, I'll partner with them. And then have that, play that strengths rather than the weaknesses. So take care of it. That's the only way to do it. That applies from building a restaurant to writing a menu to hiring people to every little, and managing your books to every little thing. I apply the same way of doing things. That's the only way to do it.
Thank you. I think that's great advice for all of us, actually. So thank you. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock, and unfortunately, the time is ticking. So the next one is going to be a rapid round. I think we all are maybe very curious. You're all fantastic chefs. You create such amazing cuisine. What is your favorite food, your go-to, your comfort food, something you always make at home for your family, for your partner? Rapid round, Suvir, we'll start with you.
Dal chawal pasta.
And pasta. Dal chawal pasta as one?
It could be any order, but dal chawal and pasta.
And pasta as well, okay. Srijit.
For me, there's a dish, a very, very simple dish back home. We call it pulisheri, which is basically tempered yogurt with some turmeric and all those things. And that's one thing my wife, she's not a great cook. She like.
Is she here? This is being recorded.
No, hold on.
Stop recording.
Come on. Listen. No, hold on. That's not what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, what?
See, the idea was to make that noise, No, she's a good cook, but she doesn't enjoy cooking. That's what I meant, okay? She likes cooking. She doesn't enjoy cooking. She likes to cook just for today. So she makes this pulisheri so well. I don't know, like so well. Today I just had that. Along with that nice masala omelette flat with the brown little patches on it.
Oh,
that's it.
okay.
That's my comfort food.
We're going to get hungry soon. Yeah, Heena, but you.
For me, puran puri, curry, and aloo gobi.
You're complicated, man.
Keith, how about you?
Butter, no, just kidding. I won't even say.
Suvir will kick you off the panel.
He's leaving. Go on.
Or he'll leave.
He's leaving right now.
Right. Chef Rakesh and I would probably agree. Pongal and Gotsu. All the time. Pongal and Gotsu. Every time.
So,
Sorry. The follow-up is it's the thing that I constantly eat for breakfast, for lunch. It's easy. It hits home for me, which makes no sense. Pongal and Gotsu. Yeah. So Gotsu. Yeah.
Gotsu.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a brinjal thingy, which is very Brahmin food from the Java.
so Suvir, I want to turn it to you for a question to Heena.
Heena, you are a very exotic thing in the kitchen. You're a woman. And you're also a woman who is my age. And a kitchen isn't a very friendly place for women. We make it difficult for them to work. We have men who are animals working in kitchens. How has that experience been for you?
Wow, I need a therapist after answering this.
I'll provide you the therapy, but I'm answering. Has it been
Through
easy?
La Cuisine, when I started I was very excited to have a restaurant where I don't come from money and to have the space. I couldn't fight for the location. I couldn't fight for the money. Whatever is given, okay, make the best of it. So this opportunity came through La Cuisine. I done the incubation program 5 years. In 2018, they said I'm not going to say the name, but this famous...
I know the name.
You know the name. This famous chef is looking for... They wanted to replace this existent restaurant, and they approached to me. And I was very excited. It's like, okay, I will make my best. I was a little bit heartbroken because I was replacing other chef. It's like replacing the home. You're taking away and that was hard for me. But it was desperation for the money for me. I needed to pay mortgage. My children were in college. And I thought I can cook good food, but how I provide to my family. So I took that offer knowing that chef is the worst you can cook with. It's like, how bad can it be? I will survive. So 2018 is the hardest year for me. It was a learning curve for me to catering to restaurant. It's like Asman Jameen ka farak hai. It's so different because restaurant is running a business. It's not about cooking as much. But you have to make it profitable. You have to fill up the room. And he treated me the worst. He made me cry in front of my staff. And he said, you don't know anything. And I didn't know anything. And that I didn't know how to prep. What is the prep versus how to prep the table before the service. And all that basic knowledge I didn't have. And I was there to learn. But all that I took as a challenge because I didn't give up. And that's that on me not giving up because we women are strong. I done the worst. And 2019 I took over on my own. And I said, I don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. I can do, you give me this on my own or I'm out. And 2019, I signed on my own and I got the Best SF Eater Award of the Best Restaurant. I got semi-finalist for James Beard. So I earned all that accolade, but I got the worst. 2018 Chronicle gave me 2.5 stars. And Michael Bauer said, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, okay, give me a break. I'm not in the kitchen in my own. So all those beginning reviews, I lost because I didn't have voice. And not having that space in the beginning made me more resilient of what I want to cook and how I want to say as a chef who I am.
So may I?
Yes.
I have, in my Pune restaurants, 48% women in the kitchen. In New York, I had around 45%. And the first woman that we brought in, a male staff, a chef, would keep touching her inappropriately. And I said to her, just grab him where it hurts, and said, there's nothing there. And she said, chef, I said, do it. And she did it the next day, and the man resigned and left. And we never had any issues in the kitchen. I said, you have to get them where it embarrasses them, and enough is enough. Between the gay man and the woman with balls, we made it happen. Because we are not protecting women in this industry. It's very, very bad for women.
Thank you for saying that. For like Chef Sri, Keith, and you, I want to have, like maybe going forward, why we are stuck, like 50 years ago, you mentioned the chef had the same challenge as me. Why? How? We need to do better. And
I'm not that old, 50, I need 30 years.
So thank you so much, Heena. That's so inspiring. So the final question before we open it up to Q&A is really a forward-looking one. So what are your thoughts about where you see South Asian cuisine going? You know, if we're trying to move away from the tandoori chicken and the paneer makhni, where do you see it going? Is it going to be more regionally focused? Are there going to be, is it more focused on ghar ka khana? And what do you want the West to know about South Asian cuisine? If you could tell Western audiences, what would you tell them? And Keith, start with you.
Ooh, that's a big one. This is what the future looks like, and I am so happy to say that. I think the stories that we hear, I have a million stories that would take 1 million hours, and I'm sure everyone does here, about the mistreatment of people in our industry. And I think that what we're seeing is people push back now. And this is so good. We're seeing people go back to their roots, looking at farm to table as the future, which we have for decades, but now it's becoming these microcosms of like, how local can we get things? I think Desi food is a really good example of this. Like, if we're in one region, we know the fruits and vegetables of that region. Well, why aren't we doing this in America? Why aren't we working with more farms to bring this out there? I think the future looks so bright when you're looking on the East Coast, where I live. You're looking at Chintan Pandya and Vijay. You're looking at the West Coast. You're looking at these incredible chefs and so much more. If we were to sit here and take a snapshot of this in 10 years, what Indian food is going to do is completely revolutionize this country. Completely.
Amazing. Heena,
what I want to see, definitely, we talk about so much ingredients, farm to table, my grandparents farmers, we own the land. What I want to talk about is who is making your food, the hands that making your food, give them the shout. They doing it without expecting anything back. And I want to give them the voice, the name, the underdogs. I feel like I am the underdog and I want to give them the chance. I want the next step is to talk about them, and with the political system is harder and harder. And I give them the best what I can do with my business. I can give them my fellow team members. But we need to also, next to the farm, to the table, the ingredients, let's talk about who is making your food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Two words, right? One is educate people. First, like Suvir touched that subject a little bit. Educate Indians first about Indian food, and educate locals. That's one big thing. Second thing is, that's a big one, celebrate Indian food. I mean, if you don't celebrate it, it's very hard. The problem is, I said this before somewhere, it takes, I'll take 1 minute. Just take a macaron from France, okay? Just made out of like 3 ingredients, egg white, sugar, and almond. Takes easiest thing to make, takes few minutes to make. Look at how that has been celebrated. It's such a best pack, different colors, displayed in the right places, talked about it. People talk about that stupid thing for hours. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. They talk about for hours how beautiful that is. You touch it, it just cracks and get this stuff. Four guys pulling and pushing a som papdi back home. Yeah. Nobody want to damn look at it. And nobody knows. It's sitting in a grocery shop and nobody cares about it.
That's really
the amount of effort which went into it, the amount of time we spend on it, all kind of the amount of money we spend is the same because it's sugar, sugar, and sugar. That's a different story. But the point is, the thing is we didn't celebrate it. The problem is we do not celebrate it because for us, we love eating good food, but we don't want to celebrate that. We don't want to give it to a person who's making it or who's put that effort to make it. No. So, Babdi, I get it in a packet. I'm making good money. Indians in this country make really good money. We're rich people. So, because of that, I can afford to buy it. Because of that, you don't see what goes into it. You know what I mean? You don't care. See, that has to change. You'll have to start giving the dignity to the people who make it, and you have to celebrate your own cuisine first. If you don't do your job well, then the others won't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it.
Great point.
So I will not be Pollyanna like I normally am. It's doomsday for India. Every 10 years, there's a hope Indian cuisine will be the next best thing. Thai, Vietnamese, Spanish, Japanese, Korean have all come and gone. India has never made it. And unfortunately, Keith is living in Gaga land, thinking we are getting there. We are not getting anywhere. We are, even the people he mentioned are doing nothing for our food. If greasy, terrible biryani is the length and breadth of the imagination of an Indian chef in 2024, and when he's putting out incredibly brilliant food, cooked with Indian sensibilities, with Indian grace, with Indian wisdom, with Indian sensitivity to how a palette of flavors should be celebrated and maximized, isn't celebrated by Indians, we will remain the butter chicken, dal makhani people, because this food is the progression that India needs. Not at the price point he gives. We need to, no. He has to charge what he charges because he is the only one doing it. When more people, I'm not, I don't even know what you charge. I opened Tapestry, that was Ettan in New York. I used to charge a lot. But my food was very expensive to make because we were doing 18-hour shifts of people cooking non-stop to make one dish for one day. Mm-hmm. That food is a labor of love. Indians don't get it. But the BlackRock CEO got it, that Suvir Saran is making Indian world food that is pure, fresh, decent, local, regional, pure, not poison. But Indians don't get it, that your bodies need good food. So what he's doing, the Michelin guy didn't make a mistake and think he's very sexy, he should get 2 stars. They valued what he brought to the table. So please, open your eyes. Otherwise, we are already an epidemic of obesity in India. And our minds are being numbed every day that we are not running away from butter chicken and going to the Gujarati ghar ka khana. So if that is the change we can make happen, we have a future. Otherwise, we'll be numb and we'll be brain dead and obese. So kya bacha?
So on that note, I'd like to open it up to questions from the audience. And I think there's a mic going around. So it starts with you. Yeah. Oh, okay, sorry. I thought I was
food we need more progressive.
Thank you for taking my question. So you've talked about passion. If you had to poetically create a dish, what will it be? And how will you educate Indians here or people who like Indian food to actually understand what fine Indian dining is?
So, I'll tell you what, I lived with this conundrum when I came in 1993. What is fine Indian food? A Gujarati sitting here, a South Indian sitting here, and a North Indian Delhi wala, we all have very different ideas of what that is. That is the biggest bane of Indian food. The other is, unlike all the other cuisines of the world, which had restaurant and hotel traditions, ours wasn't built around it. Our home kitchen was the sacrosanct temple of our cuisine. People guarded their recipes, they celebrated their recipes. When we opened restaurants, we copied French, Italian, European techniques and killed our cuisine. So till Escoffier is the guidebook that's teaching Indian chefs how to cook, Indian food isn't changing. There's no poetry coming into our Indian kitchen. The poetry is khayali pulao, which is the imaginary magic of Indian food, which calls from everything past, thinks about the future, is sustainable, as she said, in practice and principle, like no other culture does. Our ghar ki sabzis use every dantal, say a seed. We use everything. We have to go back to that India, and we'll never be beyond poetry. We will be poetry, edible poetry.
You want to go? Oh,
Srijit,
there's a question over
can you
here.
hear me? This question is for Srijit. I just wanted to see how can I get a table for 4 at Copra?
Kidnap him.
It's been more than a year since we've been trying. I just thought I'll corner you.
Things have calmed down a little bit now.
I have 2 questions actually. One on a serious note. We followed you while you were at Taj in San Francisco. And I think I was there at Ettan the day 2 when you opened, Feb 22nd, 2020 or something like that.
15 days before pandemic?
Yeah, exactly.
It was 70 days before we opened it.
So my question to you was, how did you survive those 2 years and what has gone through? Because we've been following the news in Palo Alto that this restaurant is coming. It's a labor of love for 2 years. Sure. But suddenly in a month's time, everything shut down. You came back really strong. And now with Copra, you also are making waves. So, but then it has been a difficult 2 years. How did you cope with this? Like, can you tell any inside stories?
Thanks for the question. 2 things. One is as going back to the same thing as having the right people to work with, having the opportunity or the privilege to actually the right people investing in you or supporting your business. That's one big thing. Second is Ettan was actually, we almost did not, we saw it without seeing it, that pandemic's coming, because we had more tables outside than inside. If you look at the restaurant, it's built that way. So we almost did not see it, but did see it at some point. So we had 100 seats outside while we had 100 seats inside. So it really saved us. That's one thing really. Otherwise, we would have just closed it for some time and just probably may or may not, wouldn't have opened it or not. I don't know. But that really saved us, because in 30 or 40 days time, they let us serve outside. That basically saved us. And we were the only restaurant we had built out outdoor space at that point, not many. Others had to build. So that really saved us. And plus, the number 1 is more important than the number 2, because having the right people to work with is very, very important. So that really saved us. Thanks
So
for the
I
question.
think we probably, I'm sorry to cut. I think we probably have time for maybe 2 more questions, and he had his hand up. So one here and, okay, maybe one here. Yeah, I think we have to wrap up.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Utkarsh. Srijit, I just wanted to thank you for the food that you put out in your restaurants. It is, me and my wife, we celebrate the big moments in our life by always picking one of your restaurants to go and celebrate there. And it's always been the case since we've been in the Bay Area. So thank you for that. Suvir, you mentioned one of your influences for culinary journey was in Lucknow. And as a Lucknowi in the Bay Area, unless I cook it myself, I'm really desperate for some really good, authentic Awadhi cuisine. So can we expect you to fill that void sometime soon?
Kiran Malhotra, she's getting me investors like he has. Or Srijit will open a restaurant for me, one of the 2.
Looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Leena. My question is about cooking freshly cooked food. So I try to cook a lot at home, but it is a challenge because it is time consuming. So at your place, at your restaurants, I'm sure you have sous chefs making freshly cooked food and with all the fresh ingredients. But at home, do you rely on some sauces that are pre-made, or is it always freshly cooked right from scratch?
So, I've written 3 cookbooks, which were practical, because I never went to cooking school. And I used to cook for anywhere from 20 to 200 people would dine at my home. I had no sous chef. I was not a restaurant chef, I was a home chef. My food was Indian. Practical. I had एक pot पे पानी उबलता था उसमें कुछ चल रहा है, 4 pots were going at the same time. I also planned the day before, like my mother did, what sabzis could be cut, put away. I would make whole grains, cook them once a week, have them in the refrigerator. One day upma, one day pulao, one day a stew made with that one grain, which takes 40 minutes to cook. You have to be practical. There are many books that teach you how to do it. Home cooking is not difficult. Again, star chefs and those old cookbook writers made a hawa out of it. They wanted to sell their story as being, oh, we are so difficult, it's not challenging. Good food is easy. He said 3 ingredients with very little effort makes magic happen. So get it out of your head that it's difficult. Make your children, your partner, your future lover all cook with you. And there's no bad recipe in the kitchen.
Thank you. So maybe we'll have time for one quick question, if you can make a quick. So she's in the front, yeah. If you could make it a quick question, please. Yeah. Sorry, I think we just have time for one more.
I'm looking at the stage and I see 25% representation from women. And in every home, I'm looking at the stage and I see 1 woman amongst 3 men.
ये आदमी है.
अब जो भी ठीक है. What I mean is that in every Indian home, for the most part, women cook every day. And they cook really good food.
Amazing.
So why is it that there's only 1 woman on this stage? And in business, there are very few women in business of cooking. I know Annapurna is one run by women, and now Besharam. I see very less restaurants being run by women.
I mean, it's also a very difficult business. And
But
it's
men
not
are
just
able
about,
to do it.
No, men have women supporting them.
Yeah.
Who does a woman have supporting her? No one, not even a husband and children. That's the challenge of being a woman in this world. It's a very unfair place.
But Heena, please, you want to say?
So,
We have amidst us, a woman entrepreneur who has brought Indian food,
Yay, Sukhi.
food to all the homes here.
Yes.
Sukhi.
Yes.
And her sauces.
These are still far and few in between. They're very far and few.
What more can we ask?
And Sukhi sauces are available for people wanting quick. I use them at Sodexo. Took them to the world. Yes.
I want to give Heena one. Heena, I want to give you the last word.
to answer that question, if you know, like in India, the sari places, I grew up with the guys who put on sari. It's like, why? How? So again, we need to celebrate the woman taught us all our life, the best, the aunts, the mom, the sister, and we learned that was my culinary school, maybe it's yours. But one day I was touching the table at my restaurant, 1.5 minute maybe, and I was saying hi to the guest, and we had at that time, maybe 2 years ago, and the guy said, this food is amazing. Can you go in the kitchen, tell Mr. Patel it's the best food ever? And my boil was raging. It's like this is the understanding we come up with as Indian, because we had not realizing the talent. We don't spend time where you're going to eat. Like if I go to Sri's Copra, I enjoy because he put a time to put this dish together. But when some guest, Indian, brothers, my brother and sister, they will ask me salt. They will show me the picture how dabeli should look like. So that's an insult. They don't accept me as a chef. And that's my challenge to us, all of us. Open. When you go to the restaurant, open yourself and don't expect what your mom made or what you had or how. Allow me to represent in a different way. And that's how we elevate the cuisine.
Free advice.
Women need to raise young men that are better as humans, because you've created these babies.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please join me in thanking these amazing chefs. Follow them on Instagram. Visit their restaurants.